Life often throws us into a situation we aren't expecting. We're in a car accident, or we lose someone we love, or a storm carries everything we own away, or we lose our job, or we get sick. Life has a way of changing our lives without our consent. But what if we are the ones who want the change? How do we know that we're ready? This is Soul Mechanics, practical tune-ups to be a healthy human, and I'm your host, Kate Foley. If your mind wanders to changing your life over and over again, you're probably ready. But it's your civilized mind that can't handle the change. How civilized is your mind? How attached are you to your possessions? How much do you value your way of life? How much of your life falling apart can you handle? Be honest with yourself. How have you handled change in the past? If you find change difficult, you might also want to look at your relationship with control. Are you managing other people's lives? Do you find other people's decisions difficult to accept? Are you outraged by other people's beliefs? Can you let go of your judgments of people? If you have a firm grip on the many components of your life and those around you, then no, you probably can't handle a change right now. It takes flexibility of world perception, thought, and emotion to gracefully handle a major change in your life. Do you have that flexibility? Can you see beyond your present circumstances? Are you competitive? Do you look at other people's lives and compare yours to theirs? All of this has a major part to play in your ability to initiate change in your own life. Change also involves risk. I'm not talking about gambling necessarily, not in the addictive sense, but you do have to take a chance and toss certainty out the proverbial window. Again, letting go of certainty is letting go of control. On that note, how much control do you really think you have over your life? Think about all of the events that have happened in your life, just the major ones. Have all of those events been within your control? If so, you might be facing a bigger problem. For some unfortunate people, every decision they've ever made has worked out, until they come to an impasse in their lives, until they meet with turbulence and uncertainty. I call these people unfortunate because they haven't had to adapt to uncontrollable forces. At my age, having the experience of surrender is priceless, because uncontrollable forces are inevitable. Maybe you want a change, but you don't realize it. Maybe that little flutter in your stomach isn't nerves. Maybe it's your desire to take a risk, to take a chance and allow life to take over, to throw all of your cards in the air. Our bodies and emotions will often lead us to the river of change. We may not consciously desire change, but one unconscious decision might take us there within seconds. Never underestimate the power of the subconscious mind. It really does have a mind of its own. When I say take a risk, I'm not talking about jumping out of an airplane or riding in a fast car. I'm talking about engaging in something that stretches your comfort zone, but ultimately engages your talents, something that gives you purpose, something that makes you want to wake up in the morning. It might not be easy at all. You might need to go back to school. You might have longer days, or less pay, or you might be working with a population that challenges our society. You might think you're too old or too young, or that you don't have enough education, or that you aren't worthy. Your first thought might be, am I crazy for considering this? Whatever it is, the fact is you are being presented with an opportunity to change your life. Whether this opportunity came to you in the form of a harebrained idea while you were mowing your lawn, or it was mentioned to you by a friend, it has come to you. Think of this as an approach. This is a yes or no moment. You're making a decision. Life is not about your productivity, how you're perceived by others, and by monetary gain. That's all surface and it's all temporary. The more you invest in the externals, the less fulfilling life becomes. And the more you gain materially, the less satisfying it all is. But when you engage that internal fire, that creative and risky spark, the part of you that is so uniquely you, whatever it is, you begin to feel alive. You begin to swim with the current. If you think you have nothing to give to the world, you are sorely mistaken, and you aren't seeing something that is blatantly obvious. Often, we're told our talents should be something high-yielding, something that belongs in a package, or that people can consume or purchase or make into a company with lots of employees. But that's very short-sighted. I've seen people turn their anguish into their purpose. I've seen some people turn their seemingly ridiculous hobby into their purpose. Sometimes people discover joy and they help other people find joy. Some people eat hot dogs for a living and provide entertainment to many others. This is no less or more important to the world than any other passion. The silliest activity can be purposeful. Maybe you like tooling around and making knives. Start a forge. Or you're really interested in bees, so you start beekeeping. It could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be your day job or something that makes money. Purpose runs far deeper than currency. The more harebrained you think it is, the more likely it's the right path for you. What if it doesn't work out? Does that mean it was wrong? There's no such thing as the wrong path, by the way. Did you learn something from your experience? Did you meet people? Did you learn something about yourself? Did it lead you somewhere else? Every decision we make creates consequences. Are you ready for every consequence to every decision you make? Probably not. How many times have you said something or done something benign or mundane and received a completely off-the-wall response from someone else? Did you anticipate this response? Did you feel out of control? Did you think you made the wrong decision? How could it be wrong if your intentions were good? What I'm saying is that our choices have many potential consequences. Many times we have an idea of how our decisions will affect our lives. But do we know the far-reaching consequences? For instance, you might find yourself broke after leaving your marriage. You might be fired from your job because you're distracted and tired all the time from your breakup. You might have a very dark and lonely night following that departure. All of your friends might have decided to remain friends with your ex instead of you. You might think that you made a grave mistake. But as time goes on, you begin to find new friends, people who understand you on a deeper level. You find a job you actually like rather than a job that simply sustains your way of life. Your view of money has changed because you had to sacrifice in order to rebuild. What used to be important seems trivial now. Could you have predicted rebuilding your life in a purposeful and fulfilling way after such a tumble? We rebuild our lives because of change. When the change happens, even if we initiate it, we're thrown out of our comfort zones. Sometimes it feels like we're thrown into a dark forest, just wandering, stunned, aimless. But that's the idea. When we initiate a major change, everything has to be stripped away for us to break the old patterns. Change is not supposed to be comfortable or predictable. If it is, you aren't changing. What's the point? How do we know we're ready for a change? We don't know. We don't know anything for certain. How many times have you been the object of life's turbulence? Were you ready? When a hurricane wipes out entire communities and they have to start all over again, are they ready? When a couple decides to have a child, are they truly prepared? Are you judging your readiness for change based upon your fear? How could you possibly know you're ready for a change? That question alone describes our grip and relationship with certainty. I think we need to move away from extreme thinking, that an event or an emotion or a state of being is negative or positive. Yes, Polarities are very much a part of our natural world. But I've noticed that in a thought process, when someone tends to think something is good or bad, or negative or positive, it creates a sort of grip on definitives and resistance to change. So, for example, something I hear a lot is that we create our own reality. But people get really stuck and obsessive about the notion of this. They start hyper-focusing on every single thought that enters their mind. I've heard so many people say things like, I want to get rid of all of these negative thought patterns because I want a life of abundance. This is pretty extreme to me. This statement alone tells me this person wants a change in her life, but she wants to control the change. She also is resistant to very normal and natural everyday human emotions. This condition will lead to frustration and stagnation. The idea of getting rid of anything is attaching to it. Feel that extreme emotion. Allow it into your being. Sit with it. Let that feeling dissipate. We aren't getting rid of a state of being. We're integrating it. This is an exercise in accepting change. We also encounter social pressures when we're deciding to make a change. Making changes in our lives can involve confronting and sometimes leaving important relationships. How many people are invested in your life exactly the way it is? Will your decision to change your life disrupt your relationships? Yes, it will. It might not be immediate, but if you are sincerely changing something in your life, get ready to confront your relationships. You might be shunned by your family. Your friends might abandon you. Personally, I've made drastic changes many times in my life, and I've been shocked each time by the response of my closest relationships. Be aware that your support system will become unstable when you invoke change. That doesn't mean it will fall apart, but it might. This is normal, but again, not easy. I think it is when we are most vulnerable and tenuous, and change is thrust upon us, that our strength is revealed to us. Again, is this easy? No. But why are we looking for a clear and easy path? The very nature of change is chaotic. Look at physical science. What makes a supernova so beautiful? The turbulence, the explosion, the chaos. Innately, we all know this, and perhaps this is what scares us into stagnation. Innately, we all understand that if we want to make our mark, we have to take a risk. And risk never involves certainty. So in short, are you ready for a change? Hell no. Who is? But if you think you want to change, start with your perceptions of the world. Start with your judgments of others and yourself. Start by questioning your own rigidity and desire for certainty. Loosen your grip. Allow the consequences of your decisions to unfold rather than keeping them under your thumb. Change is inevitable. It's natural. Let go, and you'll never feel more alive. This is Kate Foley. Thank you for listening.